Thank you very much. I'd like to talk today about an area that we all have a bad attitude in, and that is feedback. Now, too many of us have had negative experiences with feedback. We think about getting feedback, and all of a sudden chills go up our spine, and we're very nervous about it. But yet, we find it to be one of the most critical factors associated with individual success, both of leaders and individual contributors. And so today I'm going to give you 7 prescriptions that hopefully can change your attitude a little bit about feedback and get you to think about it a little bit differently. Now, prescription number 1 is that feedback is a gift. The problem is when we approach people with a negative attitude towards feedback, we don't ever see the times when people have carefully thought through exactly what they want you to hear. They've really got a message for you, and there's no guile in it. It's pure love that they're giving you this feedback from, and they're really trying to help you. If you have a negative attitude towards feedback, you won't hear it. My recommendation is treat all feedback like it's a gift. If you do, then I think what you'll find is that sometimes when people are negative and they give you feedback, it doesn't really matter. You hear it anyway. But when people have a real gift for you, then you hear it. The second prescription I have for you is that feedback does not hurt. It's just information. And the only thing worse than getting negative information would be to not get it. You know, you can take that information and you can do with it what you'd like. You can listen to it or you can ignore it, you can accept it. But you get to choose how you use the information. And really, it's just information. It doesn't necessarily hurt. The third prescription about feedback is the more, the better. One of my most favorite new devices is GPS. I use it almost every day because I'm constantly lost. What GPS does is it tells me where I am. Recently, I came to find out that it takes actually 4 satellites to accurately give you a location. One satellite cannot tell you where you are. It takes 4 satellites to give you an accurate location. And with feedback, it's similar. Sometimes we get feedback from one person, and we accept that feedback, but it's not always accurate. What I'd encourage you to do is get feedback from multiple sources. We find in our research that we can predict with feedback outcomes and successes of leaders. We can predict employee commitment, we can predict customer satisfaction, we can predict profitability and sales numbers, but we can only predict that with the aggregate data that we have, with the average of all the respondents. Any one individual doesn't make it predictive, and we can't get that same prediction with any one individual. So, ask a lot of people for feedback. The more, the better. The next prescription I have is the idea that you don't need to change everything. How many of you here are looking for a lot more to do in your life? Anyone? No hands raised. Well, most of us are a little bit overwhelmed. We have too much to do and not enough time to do it in. What we've found is that leaders who focus on one thing, who try to just change one thing, create a very nice halo effect. Let me show you the impact of focusing on one thing. When leaders focused on one thing, they were able to make a significant change from the 57th percentile to the 65th percentile. And that's based on 80 leaders and the average across all of them. That change was significant just by focusing on one thing. So you don't need to fix everything. You can boil it down and focus your efforts for change on just one thing. The 5th prescription I have is oftentimes awareness starts the change. Just knowing something helps you to make a change. And when you see it, you can take action immediately. The 6th prescription has to do with that we don't always respond appropriately when we get feedback. Sometimes we don't even say thank you. Let me teach you the appropriate response to feedback. When someone gives you feedback, you first say, thank you for that feedback. And then you add to that one more thing, tell me more. If you'll do that, your experience with feedback will change a lot. People don't always think that you're thankful for their feedback. And when you say, tell me more, they oftentimes do. The seventh prescription for using feedback and to change your attitude, we've found that feedback can focus on the negative, but oftentimes the best thing to look for in your feedback is what you're good at. We found that great leaders were people that did something well. It was their abilities, not their inabilities, that made a huge difference. Take your feedback and find something that you can, a strength that you can build. Find a capability that you can improve on.